this year, nothing surprised me. I was just like, yeah, of course there's a new strain. Why wouldn't there be? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just life in general right now is just a crazy time. And speaking of crazy times, have you heard that the Snyderverse, they're wanting to like bring it back? Because they got the people who wanted the Snyder cut for
Yeah.
Justice League, they got
Justice
that.
League.
So I mean, don't get us wrong. Like, I'm happy to see his version, Zack Snyder's version, because we got the Josstice
Yeah.
League, as people call it now. Like, I'm happy to see that his version, because I think a filmmaker, it should be their vision that you see. Do you know what I mean? And obviously,
Yeah.
Joss
Oh,
Whedon
absolutely.
changed a lot of that. So I'm cool with it. I'm fine with it. But where does it stop? Do you know what I mean? Like, eventually, are we going to get to the point where they're just like, oh well, we didn't like The Last Jedi, so we're remaking that as well? Like,
Yeah, it's like where do you draw the line, and like where
yeah.
does it?
Well, that's it. You need to have a happy medium, because, like with Sonic, obviously back in the day when you saw the first trailer, like, it was, to me as a person who played Sonic, I was like, what is that monstrosity? Is that an alien? And like, they changed it. And don't get us wrong, I think that was good that they changed it, but the people behind changing it have now went bankrupt. So it's cost them, the people who did
Yeah.
the remake of the character. And I think it looks better. Don't get us wrong, I do.
I
But
agree. Yeah.
but
It's a
when will it
strange time.
stop?
It's the first time. It's the first time in cinema where the audience has such a powerful hand because of social media. You know what
Well,
I
that's
mean?
it.
You see it in games. It's very common in games to get pushed back. Like, look at Halo. Halo Infinite showed that trailer, and
Yeah.
everyone was like, "That looks horrendous. It looks potato.
Yeah, man.
Take it back." And that's what they've done. And it's the same with Sonic. Like, it's like a new precedence where people can watch a trailer these days, and literally, if enough people show enough disdain, well, the studio realizes no one's going to watch it. So if that's the case, then they're going to have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
But then Justice League's almost the antithesis to that, where it's like they didn't have to go back; they're
Yeah.
just choosing to,
Yeah.
because they probably weren't happy with the reception that the film got. Because let's be honest, it wasn't the strongest
No, it wasn't.
reception for a DC film.
No.
Not
Like,
that DC films have been good for a while, arguably.
yeah,
The
I mean,
TV lineup's much stronger than the film lineup.
I was going to say, like the Arrowverse, it was called. It's called the CW verse now, that the guy who played Arrow's left. But like,
Yeah.
that had like a really good run. But the films, I mean, I don't even think there's one I actually really like. Do you know what I mean? Suicide
Like,
Squad, maybe.
I didn't hate Batman vs Superman just because of I really quite enjoyed the fight scene, but
Yeah.
like the movie as a whole, narratively, like it wasn't great.
No, it wasn't. And
But yeah, I
Ben
kind of think
Affleck,
of one.
I would say it was a great Batman. He's just happened to be in some bad movies, and I hope the Justice League, the Snyder cut, like rectifies that, because there was a lot of stuff that he did in the Joss Whedon one. Where he was Captain Jokes. I was like, well, that's not Batman.
Yeah,
Batman's the straight
it was
man,
like
and around
it
all
was
this
like the
craziness.
same guy in the same suit, but a different Batman, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it
was
was.
like that
It
wasn't
was.
the Batman from Batman. Like, it was like he went from being dark and brooding to like, lol,
Yeah, well, that's it.
you're the guy. I'm recruiting the A-team. He was just
Yeah.
Hannibal from the A-team.
That's it. That's it. And I mean, I think that's where a lot of the problems like lay in that movie, because like the Flash, the way he ran and everything, like, I hated that. It just, the whole film as a whole, it just didn't feel like a Zack Snyder movie. Now, don't get us wrong, I'm not saying he's like the greatest director on the planet, because he's not. I mean, I think I've seen like 4 of these movies, and like
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead still my favorite.
Didn't you just rewatch Dawn
Yeah,
of the Dead?
like I just rewatched Dawn of the
Which is a
Dead.
great movie.
It's a really good remake, and this has come from someone who, when it was originally announced, was like, well, that's going to be crap, like, because all remakes are. Do you know what I mean? But like,
I was totally down on it because I absolutely love the original. Like, the original is arguably one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah, man.
Although it does hold up terribly to
today's
standards.
It does.
But it's a great film, and I love it, and like what it stood for. And it's that thing of when you watch a film at a certain point in your youth, it's like immortalized in your mind. It's like this perfect film. And
Yeah.
Against reasoning, I will enjoy that film. You know what I mean? Like, I will watch that film and look at the awful blue faces on all the zombies, and I'm like, it's just amazing.
Yeah, man, it's the best movie
So
ever.
when that was announced, I was just like, I was hyped that it was getting like a movie in one sense, but then the other, I'm like, no, don't mess with it, because we'd seen so many terrible remakes like I Am Legend and things like that. There's so many times they've dropped the ball. They've dropped the ball more than they've succeeded.
Definitely, 100%.
So I was just like, but for me, I actually really enjoyed that film. I don't think it's a perfect film by any measure.
No. I mean,
it was just a
it's
really
still
enjoyable
Yeah.
fun film. You know what I mean?
The fact that it starts out and it's all going crazy immediately. Do you know what I mean? Like there's 1 minute of calm in that movie, and that's the very start where the nurse is saying to the doctor, "I need to go home." That is literally it. And then from there, then on out, it's just constantly crazy. And I think that
Yeah.
works. You don't get a second to breathe, really. And I think that's what makes the film so interesting.
Escalates, yeah.
It just gets crazier and crazier. Stupid things happen, like people cut each other in half with chainsaws, which is something that probably would happen if you are in that situation where you are in like a big massive
it's
truck.
just when they kick out the bus.
Yeah,
that's just iconic. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
man.
It's just absolutely. I mean, that's like when you're a kid. That's like your dream. You're like, oh, imagine being in like an armored vehicle during the zombie apocalypse, and they're like hanging on the side, and there's the little slots for the chainsaw.
Yeah,
It's
man.
just amazing.
It's awesome.
So visceral. I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, like I said, so like I'm not Zack Snyder's biggest fan, but I do think he should have got his vision. But now that the Snyder fans, or whatever you want to call them, have gotten that, they're like, but no, we want the rest now. Like you've give with one, give with the rest. And how is that going to work for the future of cinema? Is it going to be the case of, well, I hated that movie, so remake it? Because like I love The Last Jedi. I think out of the newer trilogies, it's my favorite because like everyone's like, yeah, but it's all about hope and stuff like that. But yeah, but I mean, there's times in people's lives where they don't feel hopeful and they feel down. Like Luke Skywalker was a broken man. He was going to kill his is it his nephew? Like in Ben Solo, something like that. He's some relation, and he saw that was an evil act, so he disappeared. And I think that gave that character actual character, whereas they just wanted to be like the hero and like, oh well, I've got the force and I'm going to kick everyone's ass. And like to me, it's just that didn't work. And then the film that followed that up, the Last Skywalker or whatever, again was just
Skywalker.
Right, yeah. Like it was pandering to the people who didn't like The Last Jedi, and it just made a story not flow well. And that's
the problem is you cannot please everyone. Like,
of course,
it should be a case of you're not even trying to please them. You should just be trying to write. Like, if you're the writer and you've somehow
it should be your vision,
you've miraculously landed that role. You should just be writing the story you want to see personally.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to hate you either way. They're literally going to hate you.
Well, that's it.
You cannot win. You know what I mean? It's an impossible situation.
Look at what's his name, the guy who did Tenet. Like that movie is absolute nonsense. But the guy who's like, well, it's my movie and I'm doing what I want. You know what I mean? Like backwards in time, forwards in time. Like, I don't have a clue what's going on in that movie, but at least he had the balls to say, well, it's my movie and this is how I'm not making it more legible for people to watch. Like, this is how I make my movies.
My friend literally messages that I watched Tenet, have no idea what it was about.
Exactly.
Like,
oh no, he's been
he
shot.
was expecting me to explain to him, like, nope.
Like the guy's getting shot and he's like, yeah, but it's a reverse bullet, so it's all right. Like, what?
Okay,
that's
what
mate.
I told the police after I murdered that family. It's a reverse murder, so
exactly. It hasn't happened yet, and when it does, it'll be backwards, so it's alright. But like, exactly. At least he has the balls to say, right, I'm writing this. This is what it's going to be, and people will like it or not. With the Jedi saga, whatever you want to call it, like it's 3 directors with 3 different visions, and the last one was like, oh yeah, we made mistakes, so we're going to rectify them in this one, and it just made it worse. And I think that's where the problem lies in, like, fans. Don't get us wrong, there is fans who love stuff, but then there's fans who hate everything to the point that they want to complain about it. Like the Justice League, they're getting what they want, but they're not stopping there. It's like, right, well, now restore the whole Snyderverse. I want this movie that was coming out, I want it to be a part 2. And I think we're going to get to the point where we're just like, well, this movie's coming out next week, but it's the fans' vision. So it's like a guy's riding a dinosaur, but he works at the post office, but he hates his life, but now he can time travel. And he's just like, what? Like, yeah, well, it's written by the fans, isn't it?
Sold.
Yeah, like, well, that's true. Like, and I mean, like, Arc 2, whose idea was it to put Vin Diesel in that? Do you know what I mean? The Fast and the Furious. It's ridiculous.
That is just to get more people interested in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Nobody
I mean,
cares.
It's ridiculous, but yeah, like the Snyderverse.
He's been in like loads of video games. Like there's like
an
exceptional amount of video games with Vin Diesel.
Well, he was
like,
in.
You wouldn't think there was a black video game, like the British Universe, British Chronicles of Riddick, was it called?
Yeah, man, he's been in those.
That was a Driver.
Wheelman.
Wheelman. That was
it was like his version of Driver as Wheelman. And yeah, it wasn't very good. Like, it wasn't very. But that's the thing. Like, why you? I mean, I get that he's in the animated show because he's got a voice for like animation and stuff because he does that gravelly voice you can't really understand. Like I Vin Diesel, you see that play the same character in every movie, but like why? Where does he stand in the game if it's an online game and you're just like playing online?
I think it might just be a case of like they've made the most generic player one character, and someone's like, let's say we get Vin Diesel to play this generic player one bald guy that we've made,
Yeah,
because that'll get more interest in this game. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Because he looks like every starting character in every game ever.
he does. Like he does. I 100% agree with that. Like to be fair. But yeah, like it's a crazy time now to be a fan of something, like just a genuine fan, but it's also a crazy time for fans who want to control how movies or anything are made. Because like, again, people are like, well, Game of Thrones final season sucked. We want a redo on that. And it's like,
Yeah.
where does it end? When's it ever going to stop? Is it going to be?
I think the thing is no one's willing to do this, and I'm also not willing to do this. So I'm being an absolute hypocrite in saying it. But I think you need to accept that once you love the original vision of something, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
So like if you love a book, then that's as good as it gets as that book.
Yeah.
Because they're going to make a TV series, it's probably not going to be as good as the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Or they make a movie and you love the movie, they're going to make a remake. It's not going to be as good as the book. So you need to kind of go in with the sense of, I'm going to enjoy this for what this is, not what I think it should be.
Right.
But we're all humans and nobody I know can do that. And I'm certainly going to do it.
I'm
but that's
not
what I'm
doing
saying.
that.
You just cannot please people, can you?
Well,
it's like an impossible task. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man,
There's nothing
that
they could
true.
announce, nothing on the planet they could announce now that they're remaking it, and someone won't be upset about it because you'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna ruin the original."
Yeah, man, just shut me door.
Like I was thinking in my mind, one of my favorite films is The Warriors, 1979, I think it was. I love The Warriors and love the video game by Rockstar.
Mm-hmm.
They also did a video game which was just like a standalone beat 'em up, like on the 20th anniversary, and that was terrible. But like that's one of those films I'm like, why have they never remade that? But then if they announce a remake, I'd be bummed because I know it'd be terrible. Because the remake's never like what you think, because in your mind you just want to see the exact same movie essentially, but with new people in those roles and obviously like a better shots, you know, like the camera quality's obviously improved since the 70s. So like I want to see it in 4K. Do you know what I mean? Like that's all you really want, but that's not what they'll do. Is like they'll hire The Rock and they'll just have The Rock battling people like or like it's The Warriors where there was like hardly any guns in that movie, but it'll be The Rock with like a M60 just mowing people down, Rambo style. Like, this isn't The Warriors. He's like, come out to play, motherfucker. It's just like, oh, this isn't what I wanted at all.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I understand that. But then again, you'd get people who are complaining if it was a shot-for-shot remake. Like, well, why did you remake it? Do you know what I mean? Like you said,
exactly.
nobody's ever... Just leave it as it is. This movie I haven't seen.
Don't make any content ever again. Just stop now. We're done.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, with everything now going on to streaming and stuff like that, like HBO Max is getting the Snyderverse and... you know, Quibi.
They have Wonder Woman as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they've got Wonder Woman.
Have you seen the new Wonder Woman yet?
No. It's set in the 80s. That's the only appeal I have. Like, I'm like, the 80s. I'll watch it. It could.
It is being really milked at the minute. The 80s, like everything's 80s.
Oh, yeah.
But I genuinely love it.
Yeah, man, me too.
Let's go.
I'm like, oh well, the 80s. I'm sold. Like, yeah, but it's a film about dogs and cats, and I put dogs and cats in the 80s, mate.
Yeah, but it's got a really good soundtrack. Like, it's dogs walking, but with synth. Let's go.
There you go. That's it. Like, because I know there was a lot of uproar that there was a lot of movies going.
It's just come to us. Flock of beagles. All right, I'm out.
Thanks for watching the first episode. No, but like, I mean, we had Quibi. That's came and gone now. Do you know what I mean? But like, I don't know if you knew what Quibi was. It's like for your phone, and you get like chunks of media instead of like an hour and a half, because now apparently we can't sit and watch a movie anymore. But I am
bad for that though. I don't know if you do this sometimes, but if say like it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm off the next day, so I'm probably going to stay up till like 2 or 3 because I'm wild and do what I like. Like even though I know I'm going to be staying up say 4 hours, for example, if I'm looking on Netflix and the movie says 2 hours 11 minutes, I'm like, oh, 2 hours. Well, I'll just look for something that's an hour and a half. Yeah, like, I already don't have that attention span. There's films I still haven't got around to watching. When once again I still have that time, but I haven't watched it because it's too long. I keep like 1917's like top of my list right now, and I just keep going. Oh, it's 2 hours something. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week.
I'm like that. I'm like that. I mean, it's different for me because like I've got kids, so like
Yeah.
with like TV shows, it's like 45 minutes, and then you can move on and do something else. So we watch a lot of
Yeah.
TV. Like I don't know if I've mentioned it, but we're watching a show called Cobra Kai. Um,
Oh god, what's that one about? Cobras, yeah, yeah.
yeah, Cobras and Kais, just a bunch of Kais. Um, and so like that's like 30 minutes an episode. So we'll like watch an episode and then we'll, do something like with the kids and stuff. Like that's the type of media I like. But with Quibi, it was kind of like, well, he has The Princess Bride, but you can watch 15 minutes of it and then come back if you want. But like, I don't think
If you
movies
want.
should be like that.
Yeah.
But like with HBO Max and like Netflix and Amazon getting all the movies, like what does that say for cinemas? Because I know there's been a few cinemas have already shut down or gone into administration,
Yeah.
but people are possibly
Yeah.
trying to like get them out of the hole. Like, don't get me wrong.
Well, I mean, I used to work in the cinema for a few years, and it's weird. Like last time I started in the cinema was, I think it was 2017, and even then, like obviously I didn't know how bad it was until I got there. But I was like, I already felt like cinema time was limited. I was like,
Yeah,
do people still come as much as they do? And it had already got down to the point where it was only big releases that did well.
yeah,
And I mean, I know that's arguably been the case, but it was like I worked at a cinema maybe 10 years prior to that, and people used to come on a Tuesday and used to come on a Wednesday and on a Thursday. And then when I started in 2017, it was like people only come for the big launches on a Friday and a Saturday. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? And then the
That's
rest
it.
of the week's dead unless it's like a cheap day or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
So
like,
it's always on its back legs. And then
yeah.
obviously coronavirus is taking it to the next level.
Oh, it has. I mean, it's changed the game. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I do like occasionally going to the cinemas. Like, we went to see Thor 3 and like
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok guy, and the Terminator. But like,
Yeah.
other than that, I hadn't seen a movie in cinemas for ages, if I can remember correctly. Like, and it was only because you were working at the cinema. I was like, oh well, I can go for free. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't costing me. So I was like, oh well, I'll go to the cinema and it'll be a
Yeah.
laugh. Like we went to see Sonic. That was the last movie I saw in the cinemas. I went to see Sonic with the
Yeah.
kids, and there was people behind me, and they were proper idiots. Like every time Sonic would do something, like, and I'm talking about the parents as well. Like Sonic like ran really fast and tripped over, and like the dad was like, "Oh yeah, man, can you not run proper?" And I'm sitting in the cinema like, "Oh wait." Like so for
Yeah.
me, as a person who
Yeah.
hates other humans, like I don't care
That's the
about the
problem.
cinemas.
That is the problem. Is
It's
like
other people.
I feel like you're rolling the dice on a good time
That's it.
versus if you're watching anything in the house. Like obviously now TVs are massive. Like I don't think anybody has smaller than a blooming 30-inch TV if they're like a movie
Yeah,
watcher. Do you know what I mean? Like nobody has small TVs anymore, and they're just getting bigger, and the picture's getting better,
yeah,
and the audio is getting better. Like soundbars and things are like they're huge now. And
yeah, man.
like for me, it's like I'm obviously a homebody, so I'm happy to just be chilling in the house. I'm a gamer, like I want to be in the house playing games or watching things.
Yeah.
So obviously, like my view is probably skewed in that sense. But
Hmm.
for me, it's just like I'm rolling the dice on whether someone's kicking the chair or
Well, that's it.
someone's loud or even like the innocuous things. Like I've had someone sit next to us and they're just like they're like hogging the armrest and like it's just that thing of like I'm not totally comfortable when I
Yeah.
could at home, I'd be totally
Well, that's it.
comfortable. I'd have complete command of the room.
Yeah.
Do you know
Well,
what I mean?
I mean,
And I can watch it in my pants. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's it. That's the
can I go to
dream.
the cinema and take my pants off and be in my undies? Can I? I mean, I can, but I'd look bored from this.
Just the once.